Sunday wasn't just about C.J. Stroud playing awful. One word comes to mind when evaluating the Pats' defense during the rewatch. That word is dominant. This is Locked On Patriots.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening? I'm your host, Nick Cattles, born and raised in New England. Been covering the Pats for the past 16 years. Also the co-host of the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles and a sports radio veteran. Welcome to Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. On today's show, in the third segment, beating the Texans exemplified the tour de force that was the 2025 offseason from Mike Vrabel and his front office. In the second segment, we have to address the struggles of Will Campbell. But first, the big dogs showed up again. You know, in this world, 2026, if you watch any of these sports debate shows, they make you feel like one topic is either this way or that way. So when looking at the Texans-Patriots game from Sunday, it's either C.J. Stroud was awful or the Patriots defense was great. You know what I have to ask all those people? Why not both? Because when I sat down and I watched the film, that's what I saw. Let's start with C.J. Stroud. He was awful. There's no other way to put it. If you thought he was bad watching this game in real time, you would feel like he was even worse watching the All-22. He was jittery in the pocket. He was incredibly inaccurate. And he made so many terrible decisions during the football game. I thought I was watching someone who had never played at the NFL level before, let alone a guy who had the type of rookie season he had going back a couple of years ago. C.J. Stroud was awful. You can't argue it. You can't debate it. It is unequivocal. He was that bad against the Patriots. However, the Patriots defense was also great. So when I'm breaking this game down, I say C.J. Stroud was awful and the Pats defense was great. The big dogs showed up. As Mike Vrabel has said, the big dogs show up in January. We saw that against the Chargers offensive line. And we saw that happen again against the Texans on Sunday. A ton of pressure on C.J. Stroud. And when you're watching this game again, Zach Core, the defensive play caller, he threw everything at Stroud. He threw everything at the Texans offensive line. We're talking about 3-man rush with 8 in coverage. We're talking about 4-man pass rush. We're talking about utilizing 5 down linemen. We're talking about blitzing your defensive backs, whether it's a cornerback, a safety, blitzing your linebackers, blitzing everybody, cover 0 a couple of times. And they didn't always work because when you blitz, of course, there's some risk involved. For example, the 2 cover 0 blitzes in the first half, neither of them worked for the Patriots defense, and one of them resulted in the Christian Kirk touchdown, which was the only touchdown on the day for the Texans offense. But Zach Core wanted to heat up C.J. Stroud all day long, and he was willing to take the risk because he knew at the other end of it, there was going to be a reward, and there was absolutely a reward. So we're talking 3-man rush, 4-man rush, 5 down linemen, blitzing your linebackers, blitzing your defensive backs, cover 0. We're talking about games up front, stunts. They were called a couple of times, at least in this football game. And this should not have been a surprise. You know, Milton Williams talked about it in the postgame. He said, quote, if C.J. Stroud's kept clean, he can make any throw that any quarterback can make. But under pressure, he puts the ball in harm's way. And we try to take advantage of it, unquote. Zach Core last week, when he met with the media, emphasized how Stroud is really good with a clean pocket, i.e., we don't want the pocket clean. We want to make him feel uncomfortable. And so if you listen to Zach Core during the week of preparation, if you listen to this podcast about some of the numbers, C.J. Stroud having issues against pressure, having some issues against the blitz, the fact that, as Mike Giardi points out, Over the previous 5 weeks, the Patriots were third in the NFL in blitz rate. Evan Lazar points out that the Patriots had a 46.2% blitz rate against the Texans, which led to 4 of Stroud's 6 turnover-worthy plays. Andrew Callahan quoted Marcus Jones, quote, having only a 4-man rush or 3-man rush, he can dice defenses up. Our main thing was to have pressure, unquote. And Andrew Callahan pulling the numbers from Next Gen Stats, Stroud against the Patriots blitz, 6 of 18, 67 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, and his EPA was a minus 12.4. Stroud under pressure was 2 for 16, 18 yards, an interception, and 3 sacks. The pressure absolutely killed Stroud. It absolutely killed the Texans' offense. Milton Williams had a big impact, had at least 3 or 4 impact plays. Christian Barmore had 3 or 4 impact plays. Kyrie's Tonga, it was great to see him back. He had 3 or 4 impact plays. Corey Durden had a couple of impact plays. Those guys were denting the interior offensive line of the Texans all day long. K'Lavon Chaisson was a straight-up menace. He was ridiculously awesome in this football game. He was creating pressure. He was getting sacks. He was all over the place. K'Lavon Chaisson was excellent. And I'll say it again, unsung hero Anthony Jennings. I thought Anthony Jennings arguably was the second best defensive lineman in this game after K'Lavon Chaisson. I thought Anthony Jennings did a very good job on the edge, which is not a surprise. I thought he also created some pressure. He ran those games where Kyrie's Tonga a couple of times. That the game between he and Tonga opened up Tonga's sack in the fourth quarter. Anthony Jennings was great. But here's the true delicious defensive recipe. Not only getting that pressure from your front seven, but marrying that pressure with your coverage on the back end. Next gen stats on the Patriots coverage against CJ Stroud. The Patriots defense forced 14 tight windows on 47 CJ Stroud pass attempts. That's almost 30%. So almost 30% of Stroud's pass attempts were in tight windows. That is the highest rate, according to Next Gen Stats, by a defense over the last 6 postseasons. The defense gained plus 27.8 EPA across 5 turnovers, the most by a playoff defense in the Next Gen Stats era, which goes back to 2016. Mike Giardi points out that Stroud had the 10th lowest EPA per dropback by a QB in a playoff game since 2007 at minus 4.7. So you had the pressure. You had Zach Core throwing everything at CJ Stroud. And then you had excellent coverage creating very tight windows for the quarterback. So don't sit there and tell me that the only reason the Texans look bad offensively is because their quarterback was awful. No, both things can be true. Now, as far as the defensive backs, I thought Carlton Davis was feast or famine. He had all 3 penalties for the Patriots. He gave up 1 or 2 catches, but he also had the 2 interceptions. He had good coverage a number of times, came downhill and made a tackle or 2. I thought Christian Gonzalez was good, if not really good in the second half. Marcus Jones got off to a slow start, but got better as the game went on. He had the pass breakup on 3rd down in the red zone, which was a huge play. He had the pick 6, obviously, which was a huge play. Rookie Craig Woodson was really good. Now, he did blow a coverage on 3rd down in the red zone that fortunately did not hurt the Patriots. They still got off the field. But Craig Woodson was all over the place, all over the field. And the Pats also shut down the run. Houston tried to go to 6 offensive linemen in the second half. They didn't have a lot of success. Evan Lazar points out the Texans only had a 29% rushing success rate, 48 yards on 22 attempts. How good was the defense? Phil Perry, per Opta Stats. They're one of 2 teams since the NFL merger to force 5 turnovers, record a pick 6, rack up 3 sacks, allow less than 50 yards rushing, and give up just 1 touchdown in a playoff game. The only other team to do that, per Opta Stats, the 85 Bears against your Patriots in the Super Bowl. Oh, and by the way, the Texans were 1 for 4 in the red zone. Patriots defense was great. CJ Stroud was awful. That's what happened on Sunday. The good and the bad of the offensive line against Houston, starting with Will Campbell. That and more next. This is Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone for this show, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I need. Real experience, not just a resume buzzword. Sponsored jobs boost your posts to the people who are the best match for your role, and that makes a real difference. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood Prediction Markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood Prediction Markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Hey-o, you already live your team every day. Now take it up a level. Kick it up a notch. Go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today. Get Locked On Patriots with no interruptions. That's right, no interruptions. Members-only Discord access and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 for the year. Go to lockedonpatriots.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Also, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. We mention this every show because we like to punch that algorithm in the face every single day. So don't forget to like this podcast on YouTube. Help us out there. Don't forget to throw a comment in as well. And do not forget to subscribe as we continue to get closer to 8,500 subs. I appreciate every single one of you. All right, no sugarcoating. You know I don't sugarcoat stuff. Will Campbell was awful on Sunday. Simply put, he was bad. My plus-minus tally watching the film, I had Will Campbell from minus 7.5 plays. 7.5 minus plays. That's a lot. Giving up pressure, giving up sacks, giving up strip sacks. He had one or two run stuffs thrown in there as well. Will Campbell had an absolutely miserable day against the Texans, and he knew it. If you watched in the postgame, Mike Vrabel was, saying hello to everybody and congratulating them on the win as he does after every win in the tunnel. And Will Campbell looked just as angry as you could be. And Mike Vrabel tried to get him to smile, try to say something. Will Campbell was not having it. And if you saw his comments in the postgame, he was not having it. He knew that he was bad. Now, some credit goes to Will Anderson Jr. I mean, the guy is a first-team All-Pro. He is one of the best pass rushers in football. But Will Campbell has to be better. It's as simple as that. He has to be better. He cannot be getting beat as much as he's gotten beat the last 2 weeks. I mean, these are playoff games. One strip sack could mean the difference. Thankfully, C.J. Stroud turned the ball over as much as he did, and your defense was as good as it was. That's how you survived in that game. You can't turn the ball over as much as the Patriots are turning the ball over. You just can't. And it's not just all Will Campbell one-on-one, by the way. Travion Henderson had a weak chip. He didn't even really chip Will Anderson, just pretty much missed him. I thought it was interesting that Drake Maye had Rhamondre Stevenson in the backfield. the third down before the third quarter strip sack, and Drake Maye went empty. He moved Rhamondre Stevenson out of the backfield, went empty. That left Will Campbell on an island. One-on-one, he got absolutely toasted by Will Anderson Jr., which led to that strip sack in the third quarter. Here's the good news, though. The rest of the offensive line was good. I thought the O-line, aside from Will Campbell, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? But aside from Will Campbell, the offensive line played well against a very good defensive front. That's the good news out of all this. Evan Lazar had the pass protection numbers, the pressure rate. Drake Maye was only under pressure on 27.3% of his dropbacks. That's a terrific number. Going against, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. and Danico Autry, going against Sheldon Rankins, those four guys giving up less than 28% pressure. That is a good day for the offensive line. And many of us will look back and will remember the Will Campbell stuff, and it kind of just bleeds into, oh, man, the offensive line gave up pressure. It was really Will Campbell. Will Campbell gave up the pressure. Morgan Moses gave up a pressure at one point, but it was because Will Campbell gave up the pressure on the other side, and Drake Maye floated to his right. So the good news is the offensive line, 4 out of the 5 guys, played well against the Texans. Speaking of Drake Maye, we knew he was up and down. I mentioned it in the live postgame. We talked about it for a few minutes. But looking at the rewatch, I wanted to tell you what some of the issues were for Drake Maye. Of course, the pressure from the left side didn't help. But I thought Drake Maye was indecisive at times. The first fumble inside your own 5-yard line. Not good, right? Obviously. But watching that play, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Nobody's open. I don't even know who Maye is thinking about throwing the football to. He should have read that. Nobody open. Get rid of the football. Throw it into the ground. Or just fall. Just hit the ground yourself. Take yourself out of the play. There was nothing there. There was no option. And because you held on to the football and you held on to it a little bit too long, you almost had a disaster on your hands. Just throw it away. Another example of that was, the 3rd and 10. I thought was very interesting. 3rd and 10 in the fourth quarter. You remember this. It's when Houston has no more timeouts and the Patriots actually decide to throw the football on 3rd and 10. Now, I would have still run the ball in that instance, but I will tell you that play was open. Austin Hooper is open. And for whatever reason, as Maye is rolling out to his right, he decides not to pull the trigger. Hooper's open for that play. That is a wide open play. The throw should have been made, and that would have been a first down. So some indecision from Maye. Inaccurate at times. The Hooper throw on that same play. It was a bad throw. Drake Maye also missed K'Lavon Chaisson on a comeback route on 2nd and 9 in the second quarter. Has to make a better throw. And at times, Maye did not feel the pressure. And in the postgame, I thought he said something that was very, very telling. He talked about how he has to be better at stepping up in the pocket because he's a sitting duck back there at times, and the tackles are trying to push the pass rushers deep into the backfield so Maye can step up and make some throws. And so I thought he held on to the football too long at times, some indecision, some inaccuracy, and he didn't feel the pressure all the time. But as I said in the postgame, he also made some elite throws. He had a good scramble on a 3rd and 7 to move the chains in the second quarter. And, those elite throws actually, you look at the overall game, and I'd say Drake Maye was okay, given the defense he was playing. Of course, the ball security, not okay. But aside from, the ball security issues that have to be fixed, have to be addressed, I thought overall he played pretty well given the challenges of that defense and the way his left tackle was playing. Wide receivers, shout out to the wide receivers. I thought all those guys made the most of their opportunities. You had the touchdown from Pop Douglas, the touchdown from K'Lavon Chaisson, the touchdown from Stephon Diggs. Efton Chisholm, I thought, threw 2 good blocks in the fourth quarter. when the Patriots ran the football and soaked the clock, Efton Chisholm threw a couple of good blocks. Kayshon Boutte drew a defensive pass interference before his touchdown catch downfield. Some might forget about that because we all remember the tremendous touchdown catch, but he drew a defensive pass interference before that play. And I absolutely loved watching the statement drive that I talked about in the postgame, where the Pats just took, 6 minutes off the clock by running the football down Houston's throat. 6 offensive linemen almost exclusively. What was interesting was the Patriots only ran 6 offensive linemen like 2 or 3 times before that drive in the fourth quarter. Thayer Munford was awesome on that drive. Morgan Moses was really good. Mike Owenu was really good. Jack Westover was really good. And as I mentioned, Efton Chisholm threw in a couple of blocks. So these 6 offensive linemen going big against Houston, that worked. It was bully ball, and it was a lot of fun to watch. All right, this past weekend's win was just the latest reminder of how the Pats slayed the 2025 offseason. That's coming up. This is Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Kicking off the year feeling good is the goal, right? And honestly, hydration is the easiest win. When I stay on top of it, my energy, focus, and mood all level up. But let's be real. Plain water doesn't always cut it, especially when you're grinding through long days, hitting the gym, or just trying to stay consistent with your health goals. That's where Drip Drop comes in. Doctor-developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. Think clear focus, better energy, elevated mood, even that fresh skin glow. I love that it uses a precise ratio of electrolytes and glucose for rapid absorption, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading sports drinks. Drip Drop's science-backed formula is trusted by firefighters, medical professionals, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's Drip Drop, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. The championship round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. You make your picks, then apply your profit boosts to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Again, of course, it's FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. The Pats are headed to the AFC Championship Game, and of course, you can continue to think about the AFC Championship Game. Listen to us as we break down every scintilla of information that we can find about this game coming up. It's absolutely huge. And the Patriots are going to the AFC Championship Game because they absolutely freaking nailed the 2025 offseason. And I thought, as I was watching the game over again, I started to think about how the Pats nailed the offseason on 3 different levels. And it was obvious watching the game. It was a great example of what this offseason has led to. Let's start with the free agent class. The free agent class has been a home run, and we know that. But watching the free agent class against the Texans, it jumps out at you. Milton Williams, 3 or 4 impact plays. Carlton Davis, not 1 but 2 interceptions. Robert Spillane's impact on the run defense is obvious if you watch. Stephon Diggs with the ridiculous touchdown catch in the gigantic 3rd down and long conversion in the 4th quarter to continue to soak that clock. Morgan Moses has been, I think, the most consistent and the best offensive lineman that this team has had all year long, from week 1 until right now. Michael Wenu was excellent the last couple of months, but Morgan Moses has been so steady. He got banged up in this game, but he stayed in and he played well. Even Kyrie's Tonga, my plus-minus, I had Kyrie's Tonga down for +4 on the defensive side. Unfortunately, he blew a block as the fullback. He was -1 on the offense. But Kyrie's Tonga has had a ridiculous impact. Corey Durden, I thought, played well, had some strong plays against the Texans. Another guy that they scooped up. So the free agents, just over and over and over again, as you're watching this game, they're making plays. The rookie class. How about Craig Woodson? He's one of the most overlooked guys on this team. Craig Woodson, he hasn't been perfect. He's a rookie. I thought he had a rough week 18 against the Dolphins. We've talked about it. But I think Craig Woodson's been very good. He was good against the Chargers, and I thought he was really good against the Texans. Craig Woodson, dynamite. Jared Wilson, I thought, was good against the Texans. Had a nice little bounce back after a tough game against the Chargers. Andy Borregales went 4 for 4 on his extra points, doing what he can do. So you had the rookie class chipping in. Now, of course, Will Campbell wasn't good, but you're looking at some of these guys and the impact that they had. I thought Travion Henderson struggled. I thought his vision wasn't very good. I thought, again, the pass protection needs to be consistent. But your rookie class chipped in. And then I want to look at the third prong of this, which is retaining the right guys and also developing those guys. Think about it. The Patriots decided to keep Jalen Hawkins and Craig Woodson and start them at safety. Now, of course, they were going to keep Craig Woodson because they drafted him. But Jalen Hawkins, Craig Woodson, your starting safeties, they've played, all in all, pretty well this year. And we were all wondering, man, Jabril Peppers is gone. A little less. Kyle Duggar gets traded. That's putting a lot. That's putting a lot on Jalen Hawkins and Craig Woodson. It was the right call. You're going to the AFC Championship game, and the secondary has been really good in the playoffs. How about sticking with Rhamondre Stevenson? How many people were upset about the Rhamondre Stevenson contract when he had, a tough year and the fumbling problems and then at the beginning of this year when he fumbles against Pittsburgh multiple times, and there were some people who wanted to cut Rhamondre Stevenson. Mike Vrabel stuck with Rhamondre Stevenson and stood by Stevenson, and that has paid off. I thought Stevenson was once again really, really good on Sunday. Sticking with Kayshon Boutte through the gambling stuff and that story. And, who knew how far down the depth chart he was going to be at wide receiver, but sticking with him and developing him. And now he's making huge impact plays. Marcus Jones has had his best NFL season, putting him in at the nickel and keeping him there and believing in him and coaching him up and getting his best season. Pop Douglas didn't get used a lot in the second half of the year, but there he is, divisional round, catching a touchdown. And of course, let's all be honest here, a little luck doesn't hurt. The fact is the Patriots wanted Chris Godwin, and they didn't get Chris Godwin, so they ended up with Stephon Diggs, and that has worked out way better. Stephon Diggs had a much better season than Chris Godwin. Patriots were also looking to trade Anthony Jennings. Teams weren't interested. Harold Landry gets hurt. Now you're playing Anthony Jennings more, and he's playing some really good football. But the 2025 offseason is why you are walking into Denver on Sunday to play the AFC Championship game. That wraps up this edition of Locked On Patriots. Thank you for making us your first listen and for being an everydayer. Reach out to me on Twitter at NickCRadio. And don't forget to throw a comment in on the YouTube channel. Hit that like button, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe. And if you're looking for a gift for someone, make it easy. Check out the Everydayer Club. Ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subs can be gifted through LockedOnPatriots.supercast.com. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.